And then did you take the tissue from the left leg and develop a DNA strand from that?
I attempted to. That I was unable to develop a DNA profile from the tissue sample from the left leg.
And then can you explain why?
When a body is left out in the Iowa and seasons pass, that body is subjected to the extreme weather, sun, rain, snow, ice, wind, the heat. If you ever find a dead bird in your yard when you're mowing the lawn, a couple days later it stinks really bad and it decomposes really fast. That's just the way Iowa weather is. Now in other places it's not like that. Like in Arizona in the desert, the bodies dry out pretty quickly and are kind of preserved a lot better than they are here in the Midwest. And so when bodies are subjected to those extreme conditions, they decompose, and then therefore the cells also decompose, and the DNA in those cells degrades and eventually gets to the point where we can't detect the DNA that's there because it's been either completely degraded, inhibited, or destroyed.
Okay, so then does that take us to the left femur? Were you able to develop any DNA from the left femur?
Yes, I was.
All right, and describe.
I took a cutting from a section of the femur from the adolescent doe, and was able to develop a DNA profile from that. Based on the comparison of the DNA profiles of adolescent doe and Aisha Langford, adolescent doe could not be eliminated as a possible daughter of Aisha Langford. The probability of kinship is 99.9998%, as compared to randomly chosen, unrelated, untested individuals.
Okay. Now speak to the language that you've used in your report where you indicate that she could not be eliminated as a possible daughter. And this is just for sake of discussion. Let's assume for sake of discussion that Aisha Langford had 3 daughters. When you report this type of finding, what is the import of this type of finding if she were to have 3 daughters?
I would need the other 2 daughters to determine if she could be included as a possible mother of those 2 daughters. I can say that Aisha Langford is definitely included as a possible mother of the unidentified remains in this case.
Okay. Were those findings then reported to the state medical examiner's office?
Yes.
And then so with that, since Aisha Langford was identified as a biological mother of this female child, would that then require the state medical examiner's office to obtain dental records to make a definitive determination as to which female child these skeletal remains were?
Yes. My role is to develop DNA profiles and do the comparisons and issue my report. In body identification cases, the medical examiner or state medical examiner has jurisdiction over the body. They are the ones that ultimately make the identification decision. Even when we have a match in a database, we still issue our DNA report to the medical examiner, and they decide whether the body has been identified or not.
Okay, let me go ahead and take that exhibit from you. And we'll go on to the discussion of our next report.
Katherine Lizardo, the importance of the statistics is you can do DNA, but unless you know what the statistics are, DNA in itself is meaningless. So here they have developed statistics that the mom was 99.98+++ % likely to be parentage of the bones, and I would say that because this poor child was left out in the elements for so long of her daughter, and that would Breasia Terrell. Talk to me about how this came about and why this is so important to get these matches, to get closure.
Well, this is important because, like you mentioned, it took a long time to find Bree's body. The incident or her disappearance happened in July 2020, and they did not find her remains until March of the following year. So that's why they only have bones to compare her, and they never knew what happened to her in between that time. And for a mom, I'm a mom, I would want closure, just find out what happened to my daughter. And here, the 10-year-old, unfortunately, the femur matched DNA of 99.99++%, like you mentioned, to the mom, which is heartbreaking itself for the mom to find out that that is all that has been left of my daughter.
And, you know, my husband, who is a forensic pathologist, you know, talks about, was the body telling a story? And this body, the medical examiner did the autopsy. We heard about his name, and that he did rule that she died of gunshot wounds. That you could tell from the bones, because the gunshot obviously had fractured or perforated some of the bones here. Now, the whole team now, it becomes important in not only identifying, but telling the story about why Henry Dinkins is the murderer. How is the fact that she was shot and then, you know, hidden away important in terms of what his son said, DL said?
Yes, interestingly, DL, when he testified, we didn't hear it or watch it because he's a minor. That's why it wasn't televised. But his testimony, interestingly, during the cross is when he testified that he saw his dad, his biological dad, who's the defendant here, shoot Bree. And then we find her remains almost a year later with gunshot wound. So that is consistent with what DL testified to and what he saw at the time of her disappearance.
Yeah, very, very important for the prosecutor to make those connections. Of course, I do want to talk to you about motive later on, but right now we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll go back into that courtroom in Iowa where the state is charging Henry Dinkins with the kidnapping and murder of 10-year-old child Breasia Terrell. Stay with us.